Social media is something new that we have to grow with, especially when it involves other people and commenting using Facebook and other means. Hello and welcome to 18WJTS in.form. Joining us in the studio is Tammy Lampert. She is the director of the Southwest Indiana Child Advocacy Center Coalition, or also known as SWICACC. Tammy, thank you very much for coming to the show. And today we're going to talk about social media and how hurtful that can be in certain situations. And when we talk about social media, we are talking about Facebook, we're talking about Twitter, we're talking maybe even about Instagram, things that people use to communicate and comment about people. And you are dealing with children who have been abused or have been part of a crime or in seen a crime or something like that. And so you know the importance of privacy and confidentiality. And stories are published by news media like us, and people then tend to make comments about the stories. The stories are good, the stories are accurate, and the news media is good to you.
The news
right?
media is great to us, yeah. I mean, we haven't had to where the news media has never, exposed a victim or reported negatively. So we definitely are very fortunate in our area for that.
The issue that we're having today is because of social media, and I think still people need to learn how to use social media and the responsibilities thereof. You're having some issues or concerns about the way people reply or make comments.
Yeah, and my concern is, everybody's entitled to free speech. Everybody, can say what they want. I think that we just need to be mindful that when we do comment on social media, when we comment on the stories, when we put that out there, it's out there. And if something's published on the internet, it's there forever. And so that has detrimental effects on the victims' families, and the community as a whole, really, too. I want people to have an outlet. If they see a story and it triggers something that happened to them, or they experience that secondary trauma because of the story, because of the situation, they absolutely need an outlet. Talk to somebody.
And there's plenty of people available.
Absolutely. We have Crisis Connection is a great victim advocacy agency that they can contact. We have great counseling in our area. Even if it's that you need to talk to a friend or something about it, just talk about it. And I want them to have an outlet. I want them to work through whatever it is that they're experiencing. But I think we need to be mindful of the comments that we put on social media. Some of those comments, they out the victim. And especially in our cases, we deal with the children, may have accidentally disclosed, or the case may have came to light because of evidence or, pictures or something like that, to where the child didn't have a say-so in the disclosure in the first place. And if someone abuses a child, there's going to be a criminal case about that. The child has no control over that, And so when you add in the negative comments or the gossip or anything that you put out there on the social media, that has a huge, huge effect, not only on the child, but also on the family. Our teenage children, they're able to see and read those comments. The parents of the victim, they're able to read and see those. And, it's funny because we already know that when a child discloses or has been abused, that, it's extremely important to have a positive support system so that, one, they can start the healing process, two, they can deal with what happened and move forward. And not, every victim experiences trauma differently, but, we want them to have the support system to where they deal with it in a positive manner, not turning to substance abuse, not, turning to suicide and, things like that. When you have negative response on top of them already having that traumatic experience, that just increases those chances for what that child's going to go through. And it adds to their trauma.
So if you feel you have to use Facebook, I think what we have to learn to come to terms with is Facebook is not a private conversation.
No, it's a public.
Facebook is public.
It is public.
Yes, and once it's there forever. And I think sometimes it's much easier for people to type in a comment, something very hurtful, very painful, very mean, and hit send and never really talk to anybody or see that person on the other end. And that's some of the difficulty is you know, if you can't say it to their face, don't say it on Facebook.
Yeah, and you know, and like if you see a story and it does impact you, or you think that someone needs to know about it, share it to them with the share link. I don't, messenger share something, share link. You know, to where if you're tagging another person in that article, then that person is tagged in that article. I just think that we could be more mindful.
Probably be more loving, more considerate of the people you're sending it to, and understanding typing it in black and white is different than talking to them in person. If you can't say it to their face, don't type it.
Yeah.
Is that? And can this hurt a case?
You know, we had in another county where social media, I think, did affect the case. In the sense that it was hard to pull a jury from the community because of all the social media that went on and the circling around it. And it also, I mean, it had negative effects on the victims because they were able to see all the comments and all the drama that came with it, I guess, if you will. Right. And, I mean, those victims, I mean, by all the comments, by all the things that were said, the community knew who the victims were. Okay. And that is not okay. That is not okay. I mean, I can't imagine walking into school and all my classmates know that I was a victim of sexual assault. And that's the reality of what they have to deal with whenever, you know, whenever social media gets out of hand.
And it may not be that you're commenting on social media, calling somebody out by name, but just a little comment that you make that I saw them at this place at this time, that kind of, people themselves are little detectives, and they will hone in and go, oh, I know who that was because of that comment. I know who that was. And yeah, that can be very painful because it's bad enough that they went through the trauma. You don't need to keep traumatizing them.
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, we live in a very small community. Everybody knows everybody, you know?
Right.
And so I think that those comments, even if the person's like, well, I didn't say anybody's name, the comment can still say who the victim is.
Right. And I think really basically what we're saying is if you're using Facebook, and whether it has to be with you commenting on an article and you want to comment about the victim or, you know, the situation, or if you're sending messages to people you know, you can be very hurtful on Facebook without saying it to their face, and that's the problem. People need to understand that if you can't say it to their face, don't say it on Facebook or Twitter or the other. And
just be mindful. Be mindful of what that victim or what that family is going through. You know, the same thing, you know, whenever you have a perpetrator, the perpetrator absolutely did something that was not okay and was criminal. That doesn't mean that their entire family is the criminal also. Right. And so, you know, those negative comments are very hurtful to the family of the perpetrator. And I know that sounds, I don't want to sound like I'm defending the perpetrator in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But their family isn't the criminal.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And by commenting that way on Facebook, you kind of set them up that way. Because some people are not bright enough to realize that what you read on Facebook is not necessarily true. They tend to think, oh, it's on Facebook, it must be true. That's not the case either.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, just somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I do want to say, like, if, you know, I think when we do have the stories that come out about the child abuse that happens, I think that definitely impacts our society. It impacts our community. We have, you know, I say all the time, we have over 40 million adult survivors of childhood abuse. And so if that causes those feelings to be brought back up, if it causes additional trauma, if it's a trigger or something like that, seek help and talk about it. Try to move forward and try to deal with that in a positive manner. There's plenty of resources. Again, Crisis Connection is unbelievable. They're a great victims advocacy agency. But I think the other thing I want to say is, you know, when we do see that, it puts a lot of fear in us as to what do we do to keep our kids safe. You talk to your kids. You talk to them and you tell them, if somebody did something not okay, it's okay to tell. And if you can't tell me, who can you tell? And get them to the person that they can tell. I think a lot of times we're just scared to ask that question. Has somebody hurt you? Has somebody touched you somewhere not okay? And we have to get over that fear. We have to talk to them and let them know it's okay to tell. The other thing is I love going and talking to youth groups. I love going to talk to classes, teachers, staff, youth leaders, anything like that. I'd be more than happy to come and talk to anyone that thinks that I could help them, to give them the tools, give them the resources, give them the words to say, you know, to the children that they're involved with, how to be able to disclose and get help.
And for you to speak to them, they can contact you through the website?
Yes, my email's on the website.
Okay, so just go to the website and check it. And what is your website?
It's www.swicacc.com.
SWICACC.
Yes.
If you can say it, I think you can spell it.
Yes.
All right. Tammy, thank you very much
Thank
for coming
you for
in.
having me.
And it's an important message to send out. Please use extreme caution if you are feeling you have to do something on Facebook, because it can be very hurtful, and it is not private, it is public. Tammy, thank you very much. Thank you for watching WJTS. We're local people watching local people.